Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to my walk through the forest yet again in the fields and in the forests of Suffolk in the UK. Thank you very much for being here. If it's your first time, I appreciate you spending your time with me on these walks through this beautiful scenery where I live. And if you're a returning subscriber, returning guest, welcome back. Great to have you here. And for all those that are subscribed, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. It's wonderful that people are at least listening to the message. They might not agree with everything I say, but that's fine because we should be able to disagree and still have conversations, and that's where I think most of the problems are with this world. So today I'm going to be continuing on my series of videos that I've done, and this is a series of videos that are interlinked, and I've done them in the order that I have for a very specific reason, because I do believe that all these subjects and topics that I'm talking about are linked together. So there's a few, obviously. The last one that I did about GameStop was not really in the series, but it was important that I put the message out there just to explain what was going on. But this is a continuation, so welcome along, and we shall get on with the information. Now, today's topic of discussion is me, let's say, speculating. I have spent a long time looking at information, reading, researching, deep diving, whatever you want to call it. I've been spending a lot of time looking at information and trying to find why we're living in the times that we are, that are so divisive, and things quite often don't make any sense. If you please excuse the wind today. I could be sitting in a nice room in front of a computer screen, not out here in the cold and talking to you. We wouldn't have all these climatic interruptions in the talk, but it's important for my mental health to be out there in the world and getting some fresh air and getting some exercise. And also, I want you to not have to look at me sitting in front of a screen, but more, it gives you a chance to take in the scenery. So today's topic of conversation is the Epstien flight logs and why it's important, who's involved, and how I think the pieces fit together. So firstly, we need to understand the circumstances surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's death. Before we go further than that, I don't believe that Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and I'll explain why as we go along, but I don't believe he is dead, and I think that's a lot of very strange circumstances that surround his death that don't make any sense, which is why I believe that he's alive. Okay, so firstly we're going to how it was explained that Jeffrey Epstein died. So firstly, Jeffrey Epstein, convicted pedophile. Okay, he was convicted of having sex with underage girls. So far as we're aware, it was girls sort of around between 15 and 17 years of age. Now you say, I can hear some people saying, well, that's not so bad if they consented, but that's the whole point. Did they consent? So he was a convicted paedophile. He was in prison in New York, facing fresh charges, and in that holding cell in New York, very secure holding cell, there was a set of circumstances that didn't make any sense. Firstly, the prison guards who were there were not the usual prison guards. They were not ordinary prison guards. They were some people that were filling in. This is one of the most high-profile prisoners in the whole of American history who was locked in this prison. They don't have standard usual prison guards there to guard him. Those prison guards, while they were, and I use inverted commas there, while they were guarding him, firstly he was in a cell with a former police officer who was convicted of murder. He was in the cell with him. Apparently, Jeffrey Epstein was beaten up by this former cop, murderer. Then he was moved cells. Now, from what we were told, Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch, which was kind of strange. That his solicitor said when he left him on a Friday, I think it was, and Jeffrey Epstein said to him, "I'll see you on Monday." So does that sound like the actions of someone who's going to kill themselves? Probably not. So the two prison guards weren't prison guards. Another very strange thing. All the cameras in the prison stopped working. Very odd. The prison guards were online, so far as we hear, through other sources. They were online searching for things to buy. and there was another report that they were sleeping. Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein was supposed to be on suicide watch, which meant he couldn't be alone in a cell. And that goes with a whole pile of other things. The sheets are made out of a special material that you can't hang yourself with. The circumstances around the hanging are impossible completely. It's not physically possible to do what happened. There was 2 post-mortems. One said that it was died from hanging himself. There was the second one that was done that said that I'm not even going to try, hyoid bone or something in the throat is consistent with someone being strangled rather than someone hanging. There's a lot of circumstances around this that just don't gel, don't make any sense whatsoever. Until you start to fit the pieces together, who this guy was, who he is, who he's connected to. Now, we speak about who he's connected to. You may have heard in the news that there's a woman that the news would have you believe is Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend. But then, just before she was taken into custody, it was revealed that she was married to somebody else. So the newspapers would have you believe that Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, was the one who was procuring him young girls to satisfy his carnal hunger. Okay, so who's Ghislaine Maxwell? Who's Ghislaine Maxwell's father is the question we should be asking. So Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was a former UK politician and confirmed Mossad spy. Mossad is Israeli intelligence. So he died under some suspicious circumstances also, where he drowned in the ocean near his boat called the Lady Ghislaine. Okay, so Robert Maxwell, former British politician and confirmed Mossad agent. Okay? Ghislaine Maxwell is his daughter. Now, why is that important? Now, we've been told that Jeffrey Epstein was the mastermind behind this whole, procuring young girls for the wealthy elite, let's put it that way. And we were told that she was procuring him girls, so that's her involvement in this whole scandal. That's what we're told through the media, okay? Now, if you consider that there's a possibility, like I say, speculation, that Ghislaine Maxwell was actually the working for Mossad or some kind of spy agency, let's put it that way, and running Epstein as the front man for the whole operation. Now, what's the operation? Now, you've heard of honeypots. Honeypots are where you have a situation, usually involving girls or women, or in some cases young boys, where they have a politician, famous person, wealthy elite person. They compromise them in a situation with young girl, young boy, whatever the case is, have photographic video evidence of them performing acts with someone underage or worse, and they're compromised. So honeypot scheme. So then once people are compromised, you can get them to do whatever you want them to do. Fair so far? You with me? Silent following me so far? I hope that noise of the wind isn't too loud. I might head back this way just to try and offset some of the wind. So a honeypot, that's what a honeypot is. Now, Jeffrey Epstein had an island in the British Virgin Islands, not far from Haiti, funnily enough, not far from Richard Branson's island as well. Now, with this island that he had, there was a pilot that flew most of he had his own plane. Of course, Epstein had his own plane that I have found the flight log for. Okay. Now, as I've said in videos prior to this one, just because somebody is on a flight log of a convicted paedophile doesn't mean that they were involved. Okay, I want to say that straight up front. That guilty by association in this case. It's not always the case. Sometimes people can find themselves in a situation that has nothing to do with the person who is, doing things like Jeffrey Epstein did. Okay, so I want to rule that out right from the start to say that not everybody on the flight log was guilty of what I'm saying Jeffrey Epstein was convicted for. Okay, we clear on that? Now, I have found, through looking around, the flight log. And the people on this flight log are the who's who in the world. People like Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. People like Chris Tucker. People like John Roberts, the Chief Justice on the Supreme Court of the United States. Many, many more. Kevin Spacey. Some of your favourite actors, actresses, politicians, not just American, from around the world. This is the who's who of the who's who in the world are on this flight log going to this island. Now, on this island, we were told unspeakable things happened to children. Okay, that is yet to be brought out into the public arena. So this, as I say, this is still speculation, but from everything that I've seen, it holds true. Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein had an island, had a plane that used to fly there, and in addition to that, Ghislaine Maxwell often flew a helicopter to Little St. James Island, which is Epstein's island. She also had a submarine license, helicopter license and a submarine license. Kind of strange for the girlfriend of a billionaire, wouldn't you say? And the daughter of a confirmed Mossad spy. But, as I say, pure speculation. So, in my investigations, let's put it that way, my investigations into this whole thing, I found the flight log. Now, if anyone would like a copy of it, I'm more than happy to send it to you. We can work out something, so just please comment in the comment section. I can also point you to some wonderful journalism, which really doesn't exist much nowadays, because journalism is corrupted, as evidenced by the people who are on the flight log. Have a look. There are journalists, politicians, some of the wealthy elite, people who make laws, write laws, enforce law, who influence public opinion, like movie stars, like, you know, rock stars, like pop stars, influential people who have influence over us, the public. Now, as I say, it doesn't mean that they were implicated, but the fact that they were on a convicted paedophile's plane going to an island where we're told unspeakable things happen to children, it kind of leads you down a path to say, well, how guilty are these people? Now, if you've seen the media would have you believe something completely different. Jeffrey Epstein's dead, of course. I don't believe he is. I think he's still alive. Now, all those circumstances that they say were how he died in the prison cell, it makes more sense to me that. Oh wait, there was one more thing that kind of made me question reality as well. Is the fact that when they brought Jeffrey Epstein's body out from the prison on a stretcher, there was no sheet covering him. He wasn't in a body bag. When have you ever seen that? When have you ever seen a dead body being paraded in front of the public without some kind of covering over their face? Ever. Never happens. But Jeffrey Epstein he was brought out, wheeled out from the prison, just to prove a point. You know, if we go back to Osama bin Laden, okay, Osama bin Laden, the world's most wanted terrorist at one time, how did that go down? He was shot in Afghanistan and was buried at sea with no pictures, no video, no nothing available for the world to confirm that he was dead. But here we are, Jeffrey Epstein gets wheeled out with no sheet, no nothing over his face. It's kind of weird, don't you think? Anyway, so the wealthy, powerful elite are, at least, there's questions that need to be asked about their involvement being on this convicted paedophile's flight list. So, if we consider all that, where does that lead us? What path does that lead us down? Oh, journalism, sorry. Let's go back to journalism. Now, there's a wonderful lady on the internet called Corey'sDigs.com, who is an investigative journalist, a citizen investigative journalist. She's not paid. She does it because she wants to expose the criminality of the elite class. Not just the elite class, but everyone. So her investigative journalism is second to none. And it's all linked with all referenced, everything. It's very, very good. So corysdigs.com, go there, have a look. There are many, many other people online that are doing investigative journalism, real journalism, not this faux journalism that we're used to seeing on our TV screens. But Corey's Digs is impeccable. The information is unquestionable. And if you do question it, there's links to back it all up as well. So I urge you all, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, go and have a look. It's one of the many, many, many resources I look at to put together these videos. Now, where are we? Okay, so how does that all fit into the whole grand scheme of things? So if Jeffrey Epstein is alive and Ghislaine Maxwell is now in custody also, let's just imagine for a moment that these wealthy, powerful and elite that are making the laws, that are running the world, let's put it that way, let's just say they were implicated in the crimes. Would it make more sense to take Jeffrey Epstein out of prison, out of an environment where he could have been killed, and have him in protective custody with Ghislaine Maxwell to testify in court against the guilty parties? Now, these are not ordinary people who are possibly implicated in these crimes. These are, I'm not just talking about movie stars, I'm talking about high-ranking politicians, former presidents, perhaps, former prime ministers, current presidents and prime ministers, ambassadors. This is the people that could be implicated in this thing are the top of the tree. It makes sense that you would take someone like that into a protective custody. So that's where I believe that Jeffrey Epstein is, and I believe that in the future we will see court cases where Jeffrey Epstein is a witness to these crimes, with evidence, of course. Now, as I say, I have the copy of the flight log. It doesn't mean that everyone on there is implicated in the crimes, but the fact that you see the very people on the flight log are coming out and being some of the most vocal. As I've said before, Jeffrey Epstein, best friends with Prince Andrew here in the UK, who's denied involvement in anything. Obviously, there's lots of photographs that prove otherwise. But he's royalty, so is he going to be untouchable also? Who knows? The little people like us, who are we in the whole grand scheme of things? Who's representing us at the end of the day? Now, if I'm correct, and that's an if, I'm speculating of course, if I'm correct, and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are in protective custody, who is responsible for that? Who would do that? Who would go up against the wealthy elite of the world to bring them to justice for crimes against humanity, crimes against children? Who would do that? Now, if somebody is willing to go to those kind of extremes to take down what is speculated to be a group so far removed from the law, who would do that, and why now? This is the questions we're seeking to answer, and we're asking because we want the answers to it. No one wants to see what's been going on, but if you look, and you're not going to see it in the media, you have to go online. Corey's Digs, I say, has a copy of all this information. How many paedophiles have been arrested in the last 4 years? How many paedophile rings were closed down? How many of the top companies in the world, and we're talking top, how many CEOs and top of the rung people from those companies have left their positions in the last 4 years? 13,000. 13,000 have left their positions as CEO or higher in these companies. We're talking about Boeing. We're talking about Microsoft, which is our good friend Bill Gates. These are the top companies in the world. Raytheon. Look for yourself. There's 13,000 of them. 13,000 of the most powerful companies in the world. The CEOs have left the companies in the last 4 years for a variety of reasons. Family issues, Bill Gates is wanting to focus more on philanthropy. There's something that strikes me as kind of odd in this whole situation. We have, back in 2017, I think it was, 17, I think it was, Donald Trump, hated by a lot of people because the media told them to. Donald Trump signed an executive order that gave the ability to take the assets of people found guilty of crimes against humanity, people trafficking, these kind of crimes. And then in the preceding 3 years, the most wealthy elite billionaires of the world transferred their wealth from their personal wealth to trusts and foundations, thinking that they're untouchable. Look at Warren Buffett's transferred most of his wealth from his own personal fortune to his foundation. Bill Gates, Clinton's, look at them all. Now, as I said, I'm not going to point the finger and say that they're guilty, because until, as we all know, you are innocent until proven guilty. Isn't it right? Isn't that how the world works? You're innocent until proven guilty? Except when it comes to the virus, then you're guilty until proven innocent. Okay, let's clarify that. So, why now? Who's responsible? What's going on? Now, another strange coincidence, if you like, is that Guantanamo Bay has been expanded. And not just a little bit, there's millions of dollars have been spent on Guantanamo Bay. Why would you spend more money on Guantanamo Bay to house terrorists when ISIS has been wiped out, Al Qaeda's all but gone? Terrorism is, we don't hear about it anymore, do we? Except domestic terrorism, of course, where people want to go and protest so they can actually live their lives. They're domestic terrorists. Okay, so if we have the Al Qaeda and terrorism is all but gone, why spend all that money on Guantanamo Bay? Why would you not just, if I'm correct, go after these people in a normal court, to try the cases in court? But as I've said before, without directly implicating Chief Justice John Roberts, without saying that he's responsible for anything, if you find that these kind of people, and not just him, many others, are on the flight logs of a convicted pedophile, then how can you possibly get a fair trial in a court where people might be involved? You can't. When you have the highest ranking people in politics, in the court system, the justice system, the intelligence agencies, where could you have a trial that would be removed from the court system, the justice system, that could well be corrupted? It has to be a military tribunal, especially when you're talking about things like treason, especially when you're talking about things against, like, crimes against humanity. So, is Guantanamo Bay ground zero for military tribunals for treason, sedition, and crimes against humanity? Maybe. But what do I know? I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist online that doesn't know what I'm talking about. So, I don't know. I urge you to go and look for yourself. Everything that I've seen is pointing to that direction. I might have misread the information completely. Or maybe there's something in it. Maybe there's something to it. And the remnants of what we're hearing through the media, this whole, no, you don't know what you're talking about. No, everything's fine. And, this whole election was fair and all that kind of thing. And the virus is real, of course. It's funny, though, I don't know whether any of you have noticed that in American politics, the day after, or the day of Joe Biden's inauguration, the WHO came out and said we're going to reduce the number of cycles for the PCR tests. What does that do? Reduces the cases. And obviously hydroxychloroquine is now approved for use in coronavirus treatment. So now that these people possibly have won their place, and Joe Biden is now running the country in America, the virus is disappearing really, really quick. It's amazing. It's a miracle. Joe Biden's a miracle worker. We're going to have to change his name to Jesus. Now, I hope I have searched long and hard, and I hope that what I'm saying isn't true, that these people aren't responsible. I'm hoping against hope that people wouldn't commit these kind of crimes, and we don't want to think about that they would. But the sad truth is that people do. And I would want to see the people responsible for those kind of actions brought to justice. I'm not talking about citizen justice. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I'm not talking about rising up and burning anything down or anything like that. I'm talking about justice through the court system, where they have a fair trial and if found guilty, convicted, punished for their crimes. And some of those crimes could be held capital punishment. If you hurt a child deliberately, then as far as I'm concerned, it's you've lost the will, you've lost the right to breathe air with a civilized society. But like I say, I'm not the one that's going to bring that justice. It's not my responsibility. All I'm doing is presenting information. Now, how does this all tie into everything? Well, if you have a look at everything I've posted before about bringing in a new worldwide socialism, one world government, the people who are guiding this and leading this charge for this globalism, one world government, unvoted for, of course, they're the same people that are implicated in these crimes, possibly. So, could there be a takedown of epic proportions of the world's elite and powerful? Let's see. Let's see what happens over the coming month. I don't like to give dates because I've given dates before, and obviously if it doesn't happen on the particular date, everything I say is automatically irrelevant because, well, the date was wrong. Doesn't mean the information's wrong, it just could be the dates. So I urge you to go and look for yourself. If you're interested in having the flight log, let me know, I can send it to you, I'm more than happy to. I found it, you can as well. And you can decide for yourself what you believe and where we go from here. Now, all that nastiness, all that negative, there's a reason I come out here in the forest, because I don't want to dwell on that. That's not where I want to live my life, and I don't want to be, I'm not the kind of spiritual person that goes and meditates every day. I'm not, I'm not a religious person. I believe that I'm part of a higher spiritual understanding, if you like, a higher consciousness. But I'm not a religious, I'm not really a kind of the kind of spiritual kind of guy. That's not who I am. But sharing the information I do and trying to present it in such a way that I see that the evil and the darkness of the world is slowly being dissipated and taken apart by people that are working on behalf of humanity. Now, that's why I don't like to finish these videos on a sour note thinking, oh, there's so much darkness in the world, because there is. But there's also much light. There's also so much light, and there's so much goodness in the world. And I want to share that with you. I want to share my hope and my joy and my passion. I do this not for money, it's not for financial gain, it's not because I'm looking for stardom. I'm not interested, I really don't care. I'm sharing my voice and my message in hopes it will fill you with some hope and joy in these times that could fill you with despair. Go out into the world. Enjoy it. I mean, really, it is a beautiful world that we live in. And if you can see past the darkness and be part of the light and share information that you feel is going to benefit other people, and maybe help people understand where we are in the world, and maybe that they can understand that there are people working for good and to benefit humanity rather than constantly taking from it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining me on my walk. When I'm walking alone, I'm never alone, knowing that there are other people that are joining me for the journey. you're not alone. The world is a wonderful place, as long as you're doing something to keep it that way. All right, go out to the world, do good, be good, love you all, stay good, and I shall look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care, bye.